Hello everybody, welcome back. We are going to be reviewing how to subtract 3-digit numbers today. First of all, we're going to do a problem without regrouping, so let's zoom in and get started. Just as a reminder, subtracting is when we take away and we are getting a missing part. We have the total at the top, we're subtracting a part and we're finding the missing part. We are finding the difference between the two numbers. So 2 minus 0, there is more on top, so there's no need to stop. We can subtract this. 2 take away 0 is just 2. Next, 6 minus 5, there is more on top, no need to stop. 6 take away 5. If I have 6 and I take away 5, I am left with 1. And then we have more on top, no need to stop in our hundreds place. 9 take away 4. If we put 4 in our heads and count up to 9 to find the difference, let's see what that would be. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5. So our answer here is 512. This answer is called the difference because this is a subtraction problem. We are finding the difference between these two numbers, and 512 is the difference between 450 and 962. Let's slide on over. This problem, we are going to start in the ones place. As always, we are going to ask ourselves, is there more on top or more on the floor? Here I see that there is more on the floor, so that means that I cannot take away 8 from 2. I'm going to have to go next door and borrow some more. If I go next door, there is somebody home. I'm going to borrow 1 from the 2, making him a 1, and taking the one that I borrowed from the 2 over to this 2 and putting it in front to make this number 12. 12 minus 8. If we put 8 in our heads and count up to 12 to find the difference, we get 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4. Next, I have 1 minus 1. Numbers the same, 0 is the game. So 1 minus 1 is just 0. I do not need to regroup there because they are the exact same. I can subtract those two numbers. Next, there is more on top, so there's no need to stop. 8 minus 6. If I put 6 in my head and count up to 8, 6, 7, 8. There is a difference of 2 there. So my answer here would be 204. Let's come on down to a little bit harder problem. Here we have more on top, no need to stop. I don't need to regroup here because this number is bigger. I can just do 8 minus 2. If I put 2 in my head and count up to 8, I get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 fingers. So my answer would be 6 there. Now, as always, if 0 is on top, we are not going to subtract it. We're going to look and see what the bottom number is. We cannot do 0 minus 6. 0 is smaller than 6. There's more on the floor, so we have to go next door. There is someone home. It's a 5. We're going to take 1 from him. If I take 1 away from 5, he becomes a 4, and we give that 1 to the next door neighbor. We put it in front of the 0 to make him a 10. 10 minus 6. If we put 6 in our head and count up to 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the difference is 4. And then if I subtract my hundreds, more on top, no need to stop. 4 minus 3 is 1. Good job. Let's come over to 609 minus 349. Numbers the same, 0 is the game, so I can do 9 minus 9, that is 0. Now I'm going to try to do 0 minus 4. I cannot do that because 0 is less than 4. There's more on the floor, so I have to go next door. There is someone there to borrow from. It's a 6. He is going to become a 5 and give 1 to his next door neighbor to become a 10. 10 minus 4. If I put 4 in my head and count up to 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is 6. And then 5 minus 3 is 2. My answer there would be 260. Now let's come down to couple of harder problems. This is when we have 2 zeros. What do we do? First of all, we look and see if the number below is bigger, which it is. There's more on the floor here, so we're gonna have to go next door. But when this 0 goes next door, there is nobody there, just another 0, and I cannot borrow from a 0. So this tens place tells the ones, hold on a second, I'm gonna go over to the hundreds place and borrow 1 from him. So the tens place goes over to the hundreds place. Knock, knock, knock. Is anybody home? Yes, there's an 8 there. The 8 says, I will give you 1. So the 8 becomes a 7 and gives 1 to his next door neighbor, which is the tens place, making that 0 into a 10. Now, the tens has some to give to the ones. But in order for him to give 1 to the ones, he has to take 1 away from himself. The 10 becomes a 9, gives that 1 to the 0 in the ones place. making that a 10. Now there's more on top, no need to stop. Notice how I mark out my number so I know exactly which number I am subtracting from. We are subtracting 2 from 10. Put 2 in your head and count up to 10 to find the difference. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 fingers. 10 minus 2 is 8. Now there is more on top here. 9 minus 1. 1 less than 9 is 8. And then we're going to do more on top, no need to stop. 7 minus 2, let's put 2 in our heads and count up to 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 5. My answer here is 588. Let's do one more across zeros just so we make sure we understand. Here, the number is more on the floor. If there is a 0 up top, the only way you'd be able to just subtract it normally is if this was also a 0, because 0 minus 0 would be 0. Most of the time, 90% of the time, you are not going to have a 0 below your 0, and you are going to have to regroup. So when you see a 0 in the top, I want you to think, I am probably going to be regrouping here, okay? Look very carefully at this. You cannot go 0 minus 5 equals 5. It does not. You cannot do that. You have to regroup. So there is a 0 here. There's more on the floor, so we have to go next door. There's nobody home, just a 0. So this neighbor says, I'm going to go and see if my other neighbor is going to let me borrow one. The tens goes next door to the hundreds place. There is a 6 there. So the hundreds place decides to let him borrow 1. The 6 is going to become a 5, and the 0 is going to become a 10. Now, that doesn't help out our ones place any, because there's still another step to get this 0 to become a 10. We have to borrow 1 from this new number now, 10, make him a 9, and make him into a 10, okay? You see how I did that? I borrowed 1 from the 10, made him a 9, and made the 0 into a 10. Now I can subtract. There's more on top, no need to stop. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay, so that is how you would subtract across zeros. That is how you would regroup a regular subtraction problem that needs you to regroup, and this is also how you do subtracting without regrouping. I hope that this review reminded you how to subtract, and good luck.